welcome back to the Life and Listings podcast. Today I have Jeff joining us. Hey, Jeff.
Jennifer, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Nice rainy day in California.
It's rainy there. I was going to say he's joining us from bright and shiny California, but not today. It's rainy there. It's actually sunny here in Colorado, so it's nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll take the rain any day, especially after we all just went through. So we'll take lots of rain, as much as they can give us,
Very, very true, right? Well, Jeff, anybody that's listening on the call that hasn't met you yet, tell us a little bit about who you are, maybe some of your real estate journey, and what you like to do.
Sure. I'm Jeff Biebuyck. I am with Compass. I have a team named Frontgate. We took our name off the building and created a team name. When I say took our name off the building, took our personal names off the building, because I think that's imperative when people grow teams, depending what you're going for. I always look at exit strategies, not that I'm thinking about even exiting or selling or anything like that. But yeah, we just made it about the team and made Frontgate theirs, not ours, meaning ours being my partner, Dan, and myself. So we're in Los Angeles, Calabasas, Hidden Hills area. We have 1,500 square foot office right at the entrance to Hidden Hills, which is, I guess you could say Kardashian. Everyone knows where we're from, unfortunately. But yeah, so we do luxury real estate. We're a flex team. We're a team of, I think, 45 agents right now, all built by accident, all unintentional, but built out of necessity. And, with no real plan in the beginning, to have a team at the level we're at. But we're having fun with it. I've made every mistake known to man. I've probably spent more money or lost I wouldn't say lost. I've invested a lot of money into different trials and tribulations and errors and time. And I don't look at anything as a failure. I look at it as an opportunity to discover, because that one mistake that you make is that stepping stone to the next success. And I firmly believe that now, or at least I tell myself that to make me feel better. But it really does help us, discover where that gold is. It's always at the 2-yard line. We got to get over to the one and then to the end zone. And most people stop at that 2-yard line. So we don't. That's kind of our jam, basically. So
Share with our audience a little bit about what you were doing or what you have done prior to building a team, because I think that's really interesting. And I think that's a lot of the why of why you're building the team the way you are.
So when I say everything was built by accident, it was because I was a musician for most of my life, touring musician in LA, played the Troubadour and the Whiskey A Go-Go, hung out with Guns N' Roses and all that whole fun decade of decadence. But then started getting into real estate because I had a mentor who was my brother-in-law who had passed away, bought me this. It was cassette. So now I'm aging myself. It was not a book, not a webinar. There was no such thing, but it was a cassette deck of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I don't even think it was called that. It was Robert Kiyosaki. And he put it on the edge of the desk and he's like, I think you'd be good at this. And I'm like, I don't like real estate. And I was like, he goes, well, let me ask you, is a house a liability or an asset? I'm like, it's a liability. And he's like, wrong. I'm like, what do you mean? A house is always it's if you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, it really gets into that explanation of asset or liability. And what it gets into is unless it's creating money for you, unless it's generating money, any form of passive income, that's an asset. Liability is something that you're paying for that nothing is coming in. Now you get appreciation for it, but if you really understand that book, kind of twisted everything around, made me think really hard about that. And so my family went out and bought a bunch of properties at auction. We still have them. That was pretty amazing. But anyway, I kind of stumbled into real estate because my wife and I flipped a house. We didn't mean to flip it. We had a baby, went to go walk them. We realized we were on a hill. We couldn't walk the baby. And we just looked at each other and like, we don't even know what we're doing. Like, why do we buy this house? We can't even take the kid for a walk.
Yeah.
So, and we put money into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose money. So we sold it and we flipped it and made money. And the only thing I could see was in that column when we sold it was the real estate fees. And I was like, God, that guy did a crappy job for that much money. I'm like, I could have done better. So I got a license and we just started flipping properties accidentally and got into the commission game and, started selling some high-end homes because of my past and the people that I knew. And then it kind of exponentially, grew from there. I don't know when it got to 45 people, but, it took about a decade to go through different iterations of that. But, it's kind of fun right now. It's very interesting what we built.
You're going through a lot of growth right now. So let's talk about that, because you just brought on 10 agents. You're about to bring on, I think you just said 6 more, right? That's a lot of growth. So, one, where are all these agents coming from, or how are you kind of doing that? And then two, like, how are you supporting that growth?
Great question. Well, with the help of you and your company, you have really helped us getting into, listing coordination and that support that we need because, it's really hard to do with different employees with virtual assistants. And I think just with what we're doing with you guys, which is basically you guys are an extension of us.
Mhm.
And we actually have a department. I guess you could say we have a department with you guys, right? The
Yeah.
risk and coordination department.
Mhm.
It just really helped getting that job done. And the agents love it. And you guys are there full time for us and you have backup up in case someone gets sick. We know it's still going to get done. So that's the kind of thing you do when you scale up is that you always, I wouldn't say replace your replacement, but always have a backup so that if something does happen to something, the show must go on basically. Cause, the team doesn't care. They're like, "I have a listing. I have a client that needs this now, and you're gonna hear it," if you can't supply that basically. If that's what they're paying you for, and which that's what they are,
Yeah.
and you have a team.
So
So,
basically, like setting up the foundations for that amount of agents to come on so then you can keep growing so you're not stuck. Because I think,
yeah.
like, tell us some of the issues that you've seen growing as large as you are. Like, have there been any major pitfalls or things that you've learned from that?
Well, I think I learned a lot of the maneuvers basically when I was working with Sotheby's and managing an office in Sherman Oaks, and they'd have an office that would be 20, 30 people, and we'd have to get it to 100. I was good at recruiting and building the offices up, but where I saw things fall through the cracks was 2 things. One is when market shifts and the company dollar gets a little bit thinner, and it's not the agent's fault, it's just the market condition. They start rolling back, they start taking things away, and everything that was promised gets taken away. And I'm a firm believer being a real estate agent and building a real estate team by real estate agents is just don't roll people back. Now, you don't take away. You dive in and say, okay, you have the ability to do this. I've seen you do it or you have the will to do it. What can we do here to, turn it over? And then it just goes more into coaching and mindset than anything else. And then you find out real quick because I could say, hey, let me see your calendar. And it's like, well, you're bitching about business not happening, but I look at your calendar and you took your dog for a walk, you went to the gym, you were gone 3 days out of this week. Are you full time or part time? Because if you are full time, then treat it as a full time job versus a part time job. And I think that's with agents being 1099 employees, independent contractors, you're not their boss. You can't push them. And I always tell my agents, like, look, I'm not your dad. I'm not your brother. I am your friend, but I am your business partner. And that's what you're paying me to do is to push you in a good way to grow and not making it scary to sit down and just get that awareness and get that mindset saying, hey, if I really do want to do this, am I putting the time in? And it's interesting because you can see with agents, it's a contact sport. You're in sales, you're dealing with public. Like, yeah, it's contact sport. But well, I'm sure you've seen it too, Jennifer. Like, they're just definitely afraid to pick up the phone and call someone for whatever reason. How am I going to sound? Am I going to sound dumb? Am I saying the right thing? Am I too pushy? And that's usually when we really get down to the meats and potatoes of what's happening with an agent is just that mindset of nothing because there's nothing to be afraid of. You are going to screw up 100%. 100% you're going to fail. 100% you're going to screw up. But it's what you learn in that process to get better at it. And are you going to get back on the field or are you going to just sit on the sideline when you get tackled and ice your knee? You get back out there and do it. You're not hurt too bad.
You have to, because no matter what you do, what if you're making calls or you're door knocking or you're at an open house, there's going to be something you either weren't ready for or you're going to get some sort of objection that you can't overcome. And you have to just move on to the next one. You can't get your feelings hurt or anything like that.
No. And honestly, it is all that mindset. It's like really seriously, like as I'm getting into, making agents better at what they do. What is it? What do they say? The master appears in the teacher, or what is it? When someone's ready, the master appears, whatever. When the student's ready, the master appears, right? So a lot of them aren't ready for it. And a lot of them really don't even want to do real estate. They just think it's just like this cool job that they saw on TV and it looks so easy and all that whole 9 yards. So when they really find out what it is a great job and it is awesome and you can have freedom with it. But we also have to get the mindset of I am waking up in the morning. I have to be proficient. I am an independent contractor and I do have to have some kind of accountability for myself versus somebody else standing over top of them telling them what to do. So that's really down to the crux of getting people over there. mommy and daddy issues and self-limiting beliefs. Seriously.
That's so funny. I kind of love how you talked about consistency, right? So we're talking about not only teaching your agents or your team to be consistent, but you're also talking about you as a leader being consistent, right? Like you're promising something, you're going to give it. And because I see a lot of times a lot of times I see a lot of agents leave because they were like, I was promised XYZ. I wasn't delivered XYZ. And now I'm leaving, or I saw that this person got this and I didn't get this. So I want to leave, right? And I think that's important because if we're teaching our team to be consistent and make your calls and treat this like a business, we also have to look at, are we being consistent with what we're offering? Right? Like, am I being consistent with my time for my team? Am I being consistent with what I promised I would teach them? Am I onboarding them consistently? Like, all that's really important when you're building a team.
Totally. Yeah, and it's really just promising what you deliver, because the thing is, and what I see other teams do, and there's all different structures and forms of different types of team. You have the team leader that it's all about the team leader, kiss the ring, you're on my team, and you can go brag that I'm on this team for a minute. And then what happens is if the agent does have the chops and they do make it and they start doing well for themselves, the first thing they do is they go off on their own because there was no value proposition for being on that team, except for they grew using and leveraging the name of that team lead, but then they just move on because there's no substance there. There's nothing else to grow. You have to have a model where it's limitless. And I don't think a lot of people have limitless mindsets.
Mm-mm.
And when I tell people you can make $1 million a year, their face just goes, and I'm like, but you can. I've done it. And if I could do it, anybody can do it. And it's just really, but giving them the structure to do it. So, all depending on how you set your team up, you set it up in a sense so that everybody can always continually make money. Because if I sat down and it's so fun, especially with team leaders or people that have been in it for a business, if I said to them, tell me 3 things of where you want your career is going to go. And if they were just dead honest, if they weren't in an interview, if they were just you and I talking, I said that to you, your honest answer would be, I don't want to sell houses anymore because you get burnt out after a while, but you still want to be in real estate, right? And you want to create passive income and you want to be able to invest in real estate. And that's kind of like, that's the swan song out. That's what everybody really wants. Hey, let me build something up cool. I can grow a team. I could sell my business. And I always just wanted to invest in real estate because I know it and I've made people rich my whole life. So why am I not doing this? So we set up a structure. If you're a brand new agent, where's the low flex team and we get online leads like crazy, that you start out new, we'll get you that opportunity to open a door. And the last thing I want you to do is go to try to close that or convert that deal because you're going to get me sued and you're going to probably get yourself sued, or you're probably not even going to get it into a transaction because you don't know what the hell you're doing because you're new. So we match them up with a conversion partner. So the people that have been in the business that won't go answer every Zillow call or go open the door or keep their ALM scores up, they basically work with a conversion partner that will help them and teach them on 8 deals to get their deal closed. So now they got an opportunity, which they never would have got, which is a lead. They have a conversion partner to help them close it. They have a learning process that they're going to learn from this person in 8 deals. And then they get to graduate. And depending on their GCI, they're at a certain tier. And that tier could be 60/40 all the way up to 90/10, depending on their gross commission level. And then they have the ability to now go teach an agent, not being a mentor, not doing this typical stuff that you see at most agencies. You're a conversion partner. You don't teach them on how to do an open house or anything. You just help them close a deal. And you get paid 40% of their income from that. So now you can graduate to that. So now you got another pillar of income. And while you built yours up, so now you got this extra money. What do you do with the extra money? I hope you don't go buy a car, do all the silly things that most people do, buy whatever, the things you do when you nutty. But so what we did is we built a fund that the agents will in the future have the ability to invest together. So they don't have to come up with that money or borrow it at, at expensive rate, and pool the money together, go find an opportunity and get a 20% return. So if you throw $100,000 into it, you're going to get a 25% return every quarter. So you're doubling your money every year. So we built a kind of a thing for real estate agents that delivers that dream of those 3 questions, because I don't know an agent on the planet that wouldn't answer you the same thing if you've been doing this long enough.
That is
So
really true. It's like, what are you trying to do? Get out of production, right? That's What
Mhm.
a D so I'm get out of production. I mean, I've been there, done that, right? I took myself out of production 2 years ago. I was like, getting out of production, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna focus on
Yeah, and that's where these team leads wanna do, and you can, because you can have other people. I got 45 agents contributing to that, well, we can call it passive income, but now I'm offering a service of operational excellence to buy them more time,
Mhm.
get their job more efficient. Because I've seen agents struggle my whole career, including myself, where you're the CEO, you're the CMO, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to build this up, you have the competition, you don't have time for this or that. You just burn out.
Yep.
And it's just you just end up on that hamster wheel. And we're trying to invent a team where you don't really have to. You go on the hamster wheel when you need to go run for a little bit to get your wiggles out. But yeah, kind of a cool concept. And it seems to be working. It's great for retention. And we just focused on the agent's career. We make them the rock star, their trophy. We don't have any kind of accolades or any kind of trophies or any kind of super diamond, triple, whatever X club, what people get when they get their designations. Their trophy is a bank account. That's really at the end of the day, that's what we want. Designations and everything is great, but who cares if there's no money behind it? What are we doing this for? You know? So, but we just want to make that dream for our team to have the ability to be real estate investors. Because, man, if you took every client you had, you've been doing this for years, and you see the houses that you resold for them 5 years later, it's crazy. I mean, I have emails that, we follow up with our sphere of influence, and every year we have a house anniversary, and we do that forever until they sell their house again. But I love the email we send out. Hey, congratulations, you're a millionaire. Because we show them the equity that they have in their house now. And they're like, holy crap, a millionaire.
Right.
You know? And it's really fun to do when if you ever have to follow up with your clients is sending that email, just look at their market analysis and see where their house value is from where they bought it and just send them that number. You're up 500, you're up 750, you're up 200, whatever it is, makes them feel good, makes us feel good. But it makes me feel really bad because I should be investing like they did, is a shape or form. Because when you do the numbers of that, it's just, wow, it's exponential. So if there's a vehicle where you can pool cash together to build a fund that you can do it and get a fraction of that, that's the same thing.
So what would be your, like, number 1 tip to, like, a team lead that has a team and wants to keep scaling? Would you say, like, look into a different type of business model like you've created, or would there be one, like, major tip you'd lead them with?
I mean, I would just focus on the agent because you most likely were an agent. I mean, most team leaders, that's what they do because they're trying to get out of production eventually, whatever. And I love selling houses and I always like to be in production somewhat because I get to play with the CRM. I get to struggle with them and see what kind is going on. I don't want to be too detached from that ever. So I always like to have a little bit of a foot in, but make time for them. But it's really just keep your promise and think of do unto others you've done, do unto yourself, and think of all the places you've been and everything that you've done where you got rolled back. Because it's happened to me many a times for no good reason either, just because there was a market shift. But yeah, just basically think of that agent. It doesn't matter what level they're at, but think of them where you were once standing in their shoes and what you would appreciate, respect, and you wouldn't want have done to you what was done to us, multiple occasions.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's great feedback, right? Like, what would you want done to you? And that may be one of the reasons why you created a team, but I think a lot of team leads kinda get away from that once they start building a team because they have a different perspective.
yeah, look, it's okay. I screw up all the time and I come up with some cool marketing stuff and cool tech, and sometimes it doesn't work as well as I thought it would, and sometimes it's just overwhelmingly awesome.
Mhm.
But if something is broken or something operationally, I'd like to hear where there might be some weird frequencies where it's not working well, and then go in and fix it. And that's the thing is we actually listen and we do it.
Mhm.
Where a lot of people are like, "Yeah, man, I just fix that, tough crap." We actually go in there and say, "Is this gonna move the needle, or is this just an agent being whiny, focusing on something else besides production?" And just really honing that skill as a leader
Yeah.
to say and identifying that. Is this something I can fix for everybody as a whole and make it better, or is this just an agent complaining, so they're making excuses where I have to kinda check their head and make them aware of maybe it's something else,
Yeah.
you know?
Love it. Okay, we're gonna pivot a little bit. Been doing real estate for a while. Sounds like with a lot of high level people too. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you in real estate?
Let's see. We can go in a lot of directions with that. We can go with funny, scary, embarrassing. You name one, and I'll give it to you.
Oh my gosh, now I feel like I need to know all of them. Let's go with the embarrassing one.
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah, I'll give you 2 real quick ones because both of them are just horrible. So, when I first got real estate, I was working in development, and I sat out in a sales trailer in the middle of nowhere in Calabasas where I mean, it was a field, it was a cow pasture, and it was a new development, enclave of 12 homes. And I sat in that sales trailer forever until I sold all of them, and it was the launching of my high-end career. So, one of the guys that comes in, super, super sweet guy, one of the houses that we had built out that we are kind of finalizing, said, "I wanna buy it." Great, awesome. I'm like, "Love this guy. He's so cool. I don't know what it is about him. He just has this thing, his aura." And I didn't know who he was. It was Michael Leday. So, Michael, going through the transaction, I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of brand new. It was a new construction contract. I went in the bathroom because I didn't know how to fill out the contract, and I couldn't get that math with the deposit, the 3%, the 20% down, and it just wasn't calculating because I was panicking because it was a freaking $5 million deal back then.
Yeah.
So, everything just goes so I ran into the bathroom, and luckily they had a phone in the bathroom because this is back in the old days with I don't even think there was cell phone. So, I call my manager, and I'm like, from the bathroom, and I'm doing the contract in the bathroom before I walked out to get the numbers straight, and he probably wondering why I was in there, and I was praying to God they weren't gonna pick up the phone to hear me on it. But later on, I found out that the guy was Meatloaf, the singer Meatloaf. I didn't even know it was him.
Yeah.
And later on, I just said, I just gotta tell you something now that we know each other. Like, I ran to the bathroom and, did the contract 'cause I didn't know what I was doing." He goes, "Yeah, I figured you were up to something in there. It took a" Yeah, but it was that was the scary one where it was just kinda like, but you just do it, and it worked out great. I ended up selling him multiple homes and everything, but you're gonna have those moments in real estate where it is gonna be scary. But just you gotta jump out of the plane without a parachute because you're never gonna jump out of the plane. Because if you go so fully prepared on it, it's good to be prepared, but you just gotta have that faith that that chute's gonna open, you know? Yeah, and then another time I was at a listing appointment and, I guess I kinda here's another bathroom, and so I have to use the bathroom. So, go in the bathroom, it's one of these bathrooms with 2 doors, and I'm going to the bathroom. Meanwhile, Dan and my partner, they're showing the house up. I'm literally going to the bathroom, the door is, like, right here in almost in front, and the door opens wide open as they're showing him the house. And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?"
Oh my gosh.
That's both of 'em.
Nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had to go back out. So anyway, the house is great, it's like, that was so bad. I was just like, "Oh my god." All you can do is laugh about it 'cause there's nothing else I could have done except, like, "Wow, shoulda locked that door probably, duh." So, that's one of 100. I could write a book.
That's when you become, like, obsessive compulsive of locks because you're just like, "Oh my gosh,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can't possibly leave this open." Like,
Well, I didn't know they're all walking around the house and stuff either, so they decided to walk around right at that point, and then my partner opens the door, and she just goes, "Oh my god."
it makes for a good story now.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one for sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, Jeff, this was great. Thank you so much for sharing just about building your team and your business model and just like your history in real estate. It's been really fun. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, whether they are looking for a team to join in Los Angeles or if they want to send you a referral, where's the best place to send them?
Our website, frontgaterealestate.com,
Okay.
and just Google us, and you should be able to find us pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. You just Google it and I think like Hidden Hills comes up and you know you're at the right place.
We're right there. We've had that website for over 12 years, so everyone asks me like, "Oh my god, how'd you get such good SEO?" I'm like, "I just been here the longest, that's all." It's
Literally did put stuff on there. You've been parked there for a while. You've got it. Well, Jeff, thanks so much for joining us today, and we will talk again soon.
awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate it. All right, take care.